these people don't understand is that they're really just not facing themselves on a personal level. They consistently have to create a leader or something that they can follow, this hero archetype or the teacher or the healer or any type of, external thing, anything that gives them an excuse not to put their responsibility within them, but to put it into somebody else.
There you go.
So because in that way, it gives them a little bit of relief. If the outside world of unexpected changes and random events and things like that, if that ever lets them down, they don't have to suffer because they always have a fall boy. They have a scapegoat. They can blame it on whatever they were following, and it's not their fault.
That's right.
And the reason why it's so difficult for people to understand how quantum physics and metaphysics, like these new age sciences, it explains that we're all connected with a web of consciousness, this supreme intelligence, is because people don't realize that the intelligence that this is really postulating, it isn't always defined by something that can be applied to human intelligence. We have this innate strive to try and anthropomorphize everything and make it seem like, well, intelligence has to be something that I can recognize by my own intelligence.
Just look at religion, what they're doing. They're anthropomorphizing everything, all the deities around. They're putting a face on it in order to identify with that and project yourself onto the hero or the archetype, right, whatever it might be. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely, and that's that's a common misunderstanding, is that when you talk about the intelligence of the Earth and you talk about the intelligence of the universe and this this matrix that's pretty much pervading all of existence, it's a type of intelligence that maybe you don't really understand because you're looking at it in the wrong way. Mm-hmm. For instance, how does pollen know to use the fuzz on the bee's thorax and the abdomen of a bee to spread to other areas? Right. How do seeds inside fruit know how to use the animals to spread to other areas? Like, this is a type of intelligence that is within nature, and sometimes it seems so simple that people don't want to call it. It seems like an insult to people, to call that intelligence. But it truly is.
Right, and we've also been given a kind of what I will call a false explanation almost, because science now tells us in many cases how it's being done, but it never tells us why it's being done. What is the will behind something? Why does it even work? What's the driving force here? That's the important question, I think, at least.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to try and skip past a lot of this because there's a lot more information that I don't think we have time to get into right here. There's something I want to say about more of the hardcore raw data that we have.
Right.
To explain a lot of this. So for those who need this evidence and this raw data, look at what our elder civilizations called the sacred circuit. There's this thing called the sacred circuit where our cells, all the way down to our cells, it responds to an electromagnetic pulse given off by our brain, which comes from our heart, which comes from the core of the earth, which from then it's said to come from the solar system, then the galaxy, and then ultimately the universe. So there's supposedly this pulse that it goes from the macrocosm to the microcosm, that, absolutely through everything. But let's just focus on the Earth for right now. This Schumann resonance is called the base resonant frequency of the Earth. It's been steady at around 8 cycles per second for as long as it's been recorded. It was a constant thing that even it was so constant that cutting-edge militaries around the world used that frequency for radio communications. Right. And in 1986 and 87, right around the time where there was what's known as the harmonic convergence on Earth, mm-hmm. there was this pulse of the Earth began increasing rapidly, and by now it's sitting around, I think it's around 12 cycles per second. And if you do the math, right around December 21st, 2012, getting into that whole prophecy, by the time that rolls around, it's supposed to be sitting right around 13 cycles per second, and that's right in line with the Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, where each number is the sum of the previous two numbers, supposedly this governs everything in nature. The Fibonacci sequence, it governs the spiral pattern of leaves around on a plant to get the maximum amount of sunlight. Measurements such as the forking of lightning, the branching pattern on trees, the branching patterns on the roots of the trees. Even our own bodies are subject to this sequence, the math behind the Fibonacci sequence. And the reason why this is important, this going from 8 cycles per second to 13 cycles per second, is I'm sure you've heard of what cymatics is.
Yeah. Hans Jenny is behind
Hans
that.
Jenny in the 1940s or 50s, I believe it was.
Yeah.
If you were to type in cymatics on YouTube or Google videos, they have like really amazing videos on this. Where you'll see what sound frequencies, especially the notes on the white keys of the piano, when those frequencies are passed through a malleable form of matter, such as like sand or water or something like that, it moves the particles of the matter into sacred geometrical shapes. And when the frequency is increased, the pattern becomes more complex. So obviously this sound, what sound does to matter, this is actually what our body is composed of, because our body is nothing but matter, and it's composed, and pretty much everything that we see around us is composed of matter and the dance that it has with sound, like this really like ingenious relationship between sound and matter. It's really what makes up all of existence right now.
Yeah.
But and the reason why this is important, this could sort of foreshadow what the great shift in either matter or consciousness or whatever that is talked about in nearly all the ancient scriptures.
Right.
And
right.
I try not to prophesize personally or theorize about what will happen. I just let the experts on these matters, both of present and past times, I let them do the talking. But like I was saying, what I do know is that the true nature of sound, and matter has been just as perverted as modern religions. This is what we were talking about in the beginning.
Right.
And I don't know if I have time to get into that right now.
You know what? We'll do like this. We'll round things off here for our first segment. We have a minute or two left here, and then we'll get into it in the next segment. We're going to continue talking more with Ben Stewart in our member section, and I have tons more questions and loads of stuff I want to get into, so that's going to be very interesting. But if you will, tell us a little bit about your website and how people can get a copy of the film, etc., and whatever you want to leave us with here in the first segment.
Okay. Well, yeah, the website, like you said, is talismanicidols.org. It's TALISMANIC IDOLS.org. So if you go to that, I'm still in the process of updating and putting some more information on there. There's in the link section, I'm starting to put a lot more references and a lot more things that I find that are really relevant to what's going on, that it really pushes the envelope of what's said in the film Esoteric Agenda. But again, the film itself, it's available for purchase. It's a non-profit film, but it's still going to be around $8, worldwide, basically, to get a little bit of the shipping costs and everything and helped out with that. But I really encourage people to buy a copy and then make as many copies as possible and hand out. There's absolutely no problem with that. And really, I would just like to say that I don't know, that there's so many other people out there right now. Obviously, you have a lot on your show that you do interviews with. The Michael Tessarions, which I highly recommend everybody listen to if you haven't already. Jordan Maxwell's, David Icke, Greg Braden. Obviously, it gets into what we were just talking about, the merge between science and spirituality. It's beautiful. If you want to look into a lot of his work, it's just absolutely amazing. And there's so much information out there, and I just try to do the best I can to try and compile it and show a big picture and let people themselves make up their own minds.
Very good, and I think you've done a beautiful job with the film. So those of you who haven't seen it, pop on over to talismanicidols.org and check it out. It's well worth your time, and as Ben said, it's a compilation of many things and many different researchers and so forth are talking in the film. So highly recommended, and it's very nice. So stay with us, Ben, Stewart, and we'll take a short break here, but we'll continue talking more in the member section.